You're listening to Reviving Kanehsatake Radio on RKR 101.7 FM in partnership with the Pines Reporter from the Eastern Door. We're building a community media hub to strengthen Indigenous storytelling and reporting right here in Kanehsatake. Today I'm joined by Pines Reporter journalist Fern Marmont, and I'm your host Sterling Millette. So welcome to the show, Fern. How you doing this week?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty awesome. It's the end of the week, getting a little tired, but hey, we're almost there. Just got to power through it. So let's start off with your first article this week. McGill program opens doors. What was the McGill program offering to the language students?
So the program is called the Office of First Nations and Inuit Education, and it provides community-based education and professional development programs to Indigenous communities in Quebec. So basically, the program allowed the language students to use their studies at the language school towards a certificate in education. The students still had to attend an education course, do homework, and learn everything that a standard education course would teach, but the teachers would come to the language school instead of the students having to make the trek to McGill. The program also offers an additional 2-year program where students can get their bachelor's in education.
And a ceremony was held on Monday for graduating students. Who are some of the students who were awarded their certificate, and what possibilities do students have for the future?
So, Kanehsatake Beauvais was one of the students who walked across the stage. She told me that she has always wanted to teach, so this certificate opens the door for her to do that. She is actually working at the daycare teaching the children Kanehsatake. She also told me that she is continuing the program for the 2 years towards a bachelor's of education.
And can you walk me through the experience that Kanehsatake Beauvais shared with you?
Yeah, so she told me that this was the first time ever she had attended any sort of university convocation. So she was really nervous, and then she actually ended up being late, which just made her even more nervous. The language school students had decided to wear their regalia to the event, and Beauvais told me that it had made her really emotional and proud to be able to walk across the stage in her regalia.
Nice. So we'll move on to the second article this week. It's going to be 3 generations of Kanehsatake. And you got to talk with Otsitsa Unwe Gaspe. Hopefully I said the name right, but I know the boss man will be contacting me if I didn't. So she has a special event coming up this weekend. What she got going on?
So on Saturday, it is the graduation for all the language school students who just finished the program. So she is excited to attend the ceremony and celebrate with her classmates on finishing the language school.
She gave you some of her history as well, motivations for joining the language program. Can you share what some of those are?
Yeah, so she told me that the main motivation for learning the language is to be able to speak Kanehsatake with her daughters and grandchildren. She also shared with me that she had wanted to speak the language since she was 20, and it was actually the Oka crisis that reinvigorated the community and herself to reconnect with the culture and language. It wasn't until she got a flyer in the mail of the language school offering its program did she then realize that this was something that she could do.
And her daughter, Kanehsatake, is in the current cohort of language students. What were her thoughts on her mom going through the program?
She said that she was really proud of her mom, and while it was a stressful program, her mother remained dedicated to learning the language. Kanehsatake shared with me a really sweet moment, actually, which made her decide to enroll in the language program after her mother. It was after she had given birth to her son, and her mother, alongside classmates, were excitedly talking to her son in Kanehsatake, talking baby words in the language.
I think we also have to mention her brother, who, is my boss, Sid Gaspe. He also spoke with you. What were his thoughts, and what is the potential for the language speakers here on the radio?
So Sid spoke to me about how he is also proud of his sister, especially as one gets older, it is a bit harder to do things like learn a whole new language. I didn't include this in the article, but Sid also said that this was his way of revitalizing the language, is bringing it onto the radio. The radio station offers opportunities for language school graduates. It gives them an outlet to bring the language to the community, which helps install community pride.
So thank you for that. We're going to move on to number 3 now, planting hope, seeding connections. So our colleague here at RKR 101.7 FM, Karen Wasundiosta Murray, had a special event at the Gardens of Hope last weekend. Tell me what was going on over there.
So Gardens of Hope had their annual planting and fundraiser day where people came to get their hands dirty, plant the season's crops, socialize, and eat some good food. This event was a little special. It was the largest amount of volunteers, with over 70 people showing up. And this was also the first time Gardens of Hope has had an irrigation system installed. which Karen told me will really help lessen the workload for her, as before she was having to water the entire garden every morning and night by hand. This will also give Karen the time to be able to focus more on programming for the garden.
And Ketya Jutras, the environmental educator at Innovation Jeune, and one of the organizers. What was her role and what did she have to say about the event?
So she was organizing the volunteers, splitting people into smaller groups, giving them instructions and a crop to plant, and then checking on people and making sure everything was going smoothly. She spoke to me about how Karen is intentionally using Gardens of Hope as a space for healing alongside the land and as a space to learn and teach how to properly care for the land. She also sees Garden of Hope as a really incredible place where people can reconnect with how food is produced.
And who were some of the guests and what were some of their thoughts that they shared?
So I had the chance to speak with a bunch of people, not the full 70, but I was able to speak with Chris Barragar, a pastor of St. Mark and St. Peter's who had brought a youth group to the event. He said, quote, "It feels very healthy, especially for us city folk, to get out here away from all the hustle and bustle," end quote. And then I actually spent some time planting a row of onions with the youth group, and they took their job very seriously, ensuring that instructions were followed and the onions were planted properly. By the end of the day, they had planted an entire row with hundreds of onions.
That's amazing. I feel like we should have brought Karen on the show. We should have been like, Karen, come on over. We need to talk this week about Gardens of Hope because you got an article in there. So anyway, we're going to move on to some honorable shout outs because you had 3 articles this week and I think we covered all 3 of them. So we're going to do an honorable shout out to Marcus Bancuti, who wrote 2 articles this week. The first is about what happened in the Brothers, titled Body Retrieved at the Brothers. Pretty self-explanatory. It's under investigation. So if you want to know a little bit more information about that, you're going to have to check it out. Also, the second is titled Road Study Could Yield Changes to the 344. And this one, as we say that, I don't know if you guys are picking up on a mic, but someone just went speeding by, revving their engine. So perfect timing, I guess, on that one. This one talks about potential changes that could be made to make our local roads more safe. But you'll have to buy a copy of this week's Pines Reporter in the Eastern Door. So before we wrap this up, is there anything that you'd like to add, Fern, for this week?
No, just to wish everybody listening a good weekend.
Awesome. So good weekend from me as well, from me and Fern here at the team here at Pines Report. And once again, we want to say if Hadassah's out there listening, enjoy your vacation. She should be back soon, but don't think about it if you're out there. Just enjoy that beach in Greece or wherever you are right now. So get this week's copy of The Eastern Door at Bayside Convenience, Mohawk Gas Bar, Little Tree. You can also subscribe online at theeasterndoor.com. And that was a conversation with the Pines Reporter journalist Fern Marmont from The Eastern Door, all part of a collaboration with Reviving Kanehsatake Radio to grow Indigenous media and community reporting right here in Kanehsatake. For more local stories and updates, go buy yourself a copy of The Eastern Door, Pines Reporter, or stay tuned right here on RKR 101.7 FM. Until next week, Haunigi Wahi.